During 1964 and 1965, John Lilly completed the series of experiments using a combination of LSD-25 and the isolation tank. He wrote a long report to the National Institute of Mental Health, summarizing his experiments at the end of his fellowship. In 1972, this report was published as the book Programming and Metaprogramming in the Human Biocomputer. Later, John traveled to California to find people who were working towards a means of changing human belief systems. He did research in hypnosis and found it a very powerful method for changing belief systems, at least temporarily. He heard through a friend in Chile of an esoteric school whose teacher was Oscar Ichazo, which had even more powerful methods of changing states of being and states of consciousness. Upon his return from Chile, and during the subsequent year, John wrote up his own experiences in the book The Center of the Cyclone. Then several isolation tanks were built in a new location to educate people in the use of the isolation tank for changing their beliefs. And thus continued the Conference of the Three Beings.
We need a report from the third being as to the current status of her relationship with the agent on the planet Earth.
The human vehicle has reached a new stability on the planet Earth. The agent has established a satisfactory locus in a house in a remote location, preparing for new explorations into his inner self. He has become aware that in the human consensus reality, he must operate on his own resources, not depending on others for financial and organizational support.
Does he realize the differences between the first and the second beings yet?
No, he does not. In an experience in Chile, in which he saw the first and second beings approach and fuse with him, he closed his mind to further explorations along these lines and does not recognize differences between us. Thereafter, he assumed that we were a construction of his mind, and that his own inner integration led to a single being, himself only.
We need advice from the third being as to the kinds of lessons which the vehicle on Earth needs in order to begin to understand us and our relationship to the rest of the control systems in this galaxy.
He is organizing his knowledge of us in a socially acceptable way in the human consensus reality on Earth. He has written out a series of directions indicating how coincidence control operates on the planet Earth. He also understands that something greater than himself controls the long-term coincidences for himself and for the human society in which he lives. He calls this influence ECCO, the Earth Coincidence Control Office. He seems to feel that if we exist in ECCO.
Does he appreciate that his postulated ECCO is controlled from higher levels?
Yes, he has organized the hierarchy based on his knowledge of astronomy. He believes the ECCO is controlled by the Solar System Control Unit at the next level. The Solar System Control Unit is in turn controlled on the next level, up by the Galactic Coincidence Control Center. Beyond that, he attributes control to the Cosmic Coincidence Control System, which seems to be beyond his current conceptions.
So he does have some beginnings of understanding of us and of our control over him, even though he phrases it in a particularly science fiction sort of way.
Looking at the details of the conscious programming of the agent on Earth, I suggest that we arrange for certain kinds of coincidences for him as demonstrations of our control. I also suggest that we use another agent on the planet Earth to control short-term coincidences in a particular direction for my agent.
It is apparent, then, that the agent about whom we are conferring is ready for a new series of teachings. We must arrange these coincidences in such a way that he can maintain his life on Earth. Do you feel that he is prepared to go through new experiences for the period of one rotation of the planet Earth about its sun without killing his vehicle?
Obviously, he is willing to take rather dangerous chances with his vehicle. If we are to maintain this agent on the planet Earth, we must arrange coincidences to prevent his demise as a human being. We have a number of allies in other agents on Earth who can intervene at the appropriate times. One or two older ones can serve the function of maintaining the continuity of life in my vehicle.
Then we are in agreement. This agent is to be put through a new teaching course. We are to arrange the long-term coincidences for survival of his vehicle and prevention of damage to his biocomputer. I hope that you can carry out this mission and maintain that continuity of life. If the levels of control above us approve this mission, we can carry it out in the way that has been outlined here.
I have contacted the next level of control, and they agree that this is the appropriate time for the new education of our human agents. They have authorized appropriate interventions in the long-term coincidence control pattern on the planet Earth to facilitate this particular mission for us.
There are signs of a major upheaval in the human consensus reality on Earth. Is this upheaval being sufficiently controlled from higher levels to enable us to complete our mission?
I have been assured that there will be a sufficient time, that is, one rotation of the planet Earth around the Sun, to complete this work.
Is my agent to be allowed in the future to return to his consideration of non-human agents on the planet?
I suggest that we defer discussion of that question to a later meeting after we see the results of his education.
Of course, it is to be realized that in the human consensus reality, the agent has had problems accepting himself as a responsible member of the human species. In certain sectors, he has been disqualified on the basis of ideas that were beyond the evolutionary stage of the human consensus reality in which he is immersed.
It is an inevitable result of pushing agents to higher levels of appreciation of what controls their planet. In order to press the evolution of the human species, it is necessary to move agents somewhat ahead of the evolution of the rest of the species. As long as we maintain the continuity of that human vehicle, we can use him to press the evolution of his own species. Eventually, this may lead to his demise as a human. But meanwhile, we are realizing our mission in the evolutionary sequence of that planet, of that solar system, and of that part of the galaxy. As long as a given agent is useful to us in moving the evolutionary sequence, we continue to use the agent. We cannot go beyond that at the present time. Higher levels of control above us are indifferent about individual agents and pay attention only to the net effect of the many agents at our disposal.
I agree. However, my attachment to that particular agent at this time is such that I tend to forget the longer-term view. I realize that our timescale is far greater than any human agent's lifespan. I must remember the dictum passed down to us from higher levels. Cosmic love is absolutely ruthless. It teaches you whether you like or dislike the methods and the results.
Then the substance of this meeting is that we will arrange for a series of coincidences to control the education of your agent on Earth and provide other agents to help in this educational process. We will see to it that the agent becomes immersed in a totally new belief system. Let us adjourn and plan another meeting at a later time which will be devoted to the question raised about this agent's future mission after we have completed this phase of his education.